CBN News Channel, I'm Charlene Israel. The head of the National Security Agency says a secret government surveillance program actually helped agents thwart more than 50 planned terrorist attacks. Among the plots uncovered, a plan to bomb the New York Stock Exchange. But are the NSA's defenders telling the whole truth? Gary Lane has details.
The successes of the government's secret surveillance program were touted before Congress by the FBI and NSA. FBI Deputy Director Sean Joyce said Internet monitoring efforts helped the Bureau prevent a symbolic terror attack targeting the heart of New York City. In 2008, an al-Qaeda leader in Yemen planned to bomb the New York Stock Exchange. The intercepted emails led FBI agents to a Kansas City man and 2 other Americans involved in the plot.
These tools have helped us. The FBI disrupted and arrested these individuals.
NSA Director General Keith Alexander defended the massive government surveillance effort known as PRISM.
These programs, together with other intelligence, have protected the U.S. and our allies from terrorist threats across the globe.
But the program may be much broader than originally believed. While President Obama insists American phone calls are not being monitored, the federal government does have warrantless access to the private conversations of Americans. After the 9/11 terror attacks, President Bush authorized the NSA to plug into U.S. fiber optic network cables. That access allows the NSA to monitor emails, websites, video chats, phone calls, bank transactions, every aspect of communication in and out of the country. The American Civil Liberties Union opposes government monitoring of people accused of no wrongdoing.
The question is not simply whether plots were disrupted, but whether to disrupt those plots we need to engage in dragnet surveillance.
Members of Congress were aware of the secret surveillance program years ago, and many still support the massive monitoring effort.
The reason that we have that is to find a needle in a haystack, and you can't find the needle unless you have the haystack that is there.
And more details were revealed about Edward Snowden, the man who leaked classified information. The NSA director says Snowden was being trained as a threat operations center analyst. That's why he had access to a computer server that contained classified surveillance information. Snowden also revealed the U.S. listened in on phone calls made by Russian President Putin and hacked into Chinese government computers. And he says British government surveillance included the monitoring of diplomatic smartphones. President Obama suggests Snowden will be brought to justice.
Possible extradition.
Snowden is promising to release more classified information in the days ahead. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Joining us now with more is Gayle Trotter, attorney and senior fellow for the Independent Women's Forum. Gayle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The administration is making the NSA spying program sound like an amazingly successful tool. Isn't that a good thing?
Well, the most important job for our federal government is to provide for the national defense. So I think Senator Ted Cruz is completely correct when he says that we shouldn't rush to judgment over this program. But the problem is that we've seen in a lot of the scandals that have been cropping up over the last couple months that there's a deficit of trust. The federal government has made huge withdrawals from the trust account with the American people. So you look at the NSA and the program that it has, we don't have enough information about it. And President Obama, in his Charlie Rose interview, said that the program is transparent. I think he must not understand what the word transparent means.
Well, the president says American privacy is safe because the NSA and FBI cannot monitor our phone calls and emails without a warrant. But didn't they get that warrant from FISA court?
Yes, and he said that the program is transparent because we have the FISA court, but that's clearly not true because the FISA court is very secretive. Now, it's based in D.C. and it has judges on it that are appointed by Supreme Court Justice Roberts, but the truth is the American public does not know the extent of this program, and when we have situations like the IRS where there have been an agency that is apolitical, it's supposed to be nonpartisan, and in that circumstance the federal government agents have covered up about the extent of targeting of conservatives. And in addition to that, when they've come before Congress, they have continued to mislead Congress. So it's not too far of a jump to say with this NSA program, how much information do we have? How much cover-up has there been? And what is the extent of monitoring of private communications of Americans? And these questions need to be answered.
Talk about the metadata that we've heard so much about. Even if the government doesn't listen directly to our calls, what private information can they learn from this so-called metadata?
Well, President Obama brought this up in his interview with Charlie Rose. He said if you can look at the fact that a citizen is calling his or her doctor and then calling a lawyer and trying to make a will, you can get information about that. And we look at all these types of information, especially health information, should be very private because decisions are made based on our health information that affect our jobs, our livelihoods, our families. So there's lots of private information that can be culled just from knowing who American citizens are calling. And to say that we can rely on the federal government is just laughable after the situations that we've gone through the past month. Now, I'm not saying that this program is not necessary. I'm not saying that we have enough information about it. But when we have such a vast dragnet, like the ACLU representative was saying, we have to be very careful because Americans prize their liberty, and we need to do the things that are narrowly tailored to get the information that we need to keep Americans safe, especially in the homeland. But we need to do it in a way that respects fundamental liberties.
Certainly. Gayle Trotter, thanks for joining us and for your insights this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.